All right. So in essence, now we have a finished game, right? We have a game loop, we have UI, we have animations, we have a fail state where you can die. Everything, is working as we expect it to be working. Now what remains is the ability to make a package, right? A standalone executable of our game. So let's have a look at how we can do that. First off, I'll make sure that everything is saved, and then I'll head over to my edit and then project settings. And let's have a look at our project description. So in my case, I made sure I had a project name set up. If you want, you can set a thumbnail here as well. And that will also be the thumbnail that will be used in your Epic's game launcher, all that kind of stuff. So make sure that you fill that in. Under maps and modes, also make sure that you have your startup map, so your game default map. That's going to be the level that's going to be used to load your level. There's some additional options here as well, like a transition map that's for loading screens, stuff like that. But just make sure that your game default map is correctly configured, because that is the one that's going to be loaded when you start the game. Then let's head over to our packaging tab. And there's a bunch of things here as well that I want to, put some attention to. So first off, what you can do is if you kind of scroll over here, um, let's have a look where it is standing. So you can have compression. There's a bunch of options here, so let's open it all up. It's probably somewhere around here. Yes, there we go. So if you scroll down, you can have create compressed cooked packages, right? So this will decrease deployment size. Enable this, right? If you don't do this, then your file sizes will be gigantic. If you compress it, it'll compress it and then extract it once it needed. So make sure that you do this, right? And then something else that you might want to do is you want to make sure that list of maps included in packaged build. So you want to make sure that your levels are actually in here. Um, so you can go over here and then insert different maps, delete different maps. In my case, I'm going to manually add the map that I want in here. So I'm going to go to levels and I'm going to include this level, right? That's just to make sure that it's part of your package build. In here, you can actually exclude levels as well. You don't want all the levels. You won't want all your development levels in your project build. So you can, kind of fine tune and specify what you want here. All right. Then that should be enough for these settings. What you can then do is you can go to File and over here, Package Project. You can change your build configuration to Shipping, Development, and Debug Game. I'm going to set it to Shipping. And then I'm actually going to create my package. So I'm going to go to File, Package Project. I'm going to select Windows 64-bit. I'm going to hit that button. Then select the location, so create a new folder in my case. I'm going to call it builds. And then test builds, just for example. I'm going to select that folder and I'm going to start the packaging. Now, it can be useful to show the output log because then you can keep track of what's happening. And do keep an eye on this. Packaging the project might take a while, of course, because it needs to compress everything and process everything. But keep an eye on this. If there are errors, warnings, all that kind of stuff, this is where you will get all the information, right? Um, so should something go terribly wrong, this should point you in the right direction. Always be sure to look a bit above your error, right? The error itself might not be that informative, but what happens in front of the error, that will be the thing that you kind of need to keep an eye out for. All right, so I'm gonna leave it run for a while and speed it up perhaps, and then we'll have a test of our final package project. So I fast forwarded a little bit, but as you can see, my build has completed successfully. I have zero warnings, zero errors, everything went well. So I can go ahead and see if it's actually doing something. So let's head over to the builds. I'll have my test build, Windows no editor, everything is compressed, right? So if I right click on this, look at my properties, it's only 208 megabytes. That's because I had the compression enabled. And then if I run, it'll actually start full screen, it'll load the materials and all that stuff, and then I can shoot and play the game. Standalone in full screen. Alright. Now, keep in mind that if you disable the compression, your builds will be quicker, of course. So while you're testing, you can leave that off to have quicker builds. But for your final build, be sure to have the compression enabled and also to test your builds occasionally. Like in my case, it took half an hour now to even make this simple build. So building and compression could take quite a while depending on the amount of content and what content you have in there, or if you have already done bakes and builds beforehand, right? Because it does cache certain information and certain data. All right. Okay. So in the following videos, they are basically bonus videos. I'll add some audio. I'll add some environment effects, and I will also add a secondary fire which uses raycasting and all that kind of stuff for a laser beam. So secondary fire will be a laser beam. And then in the final video, we'll also dive into some C++